What's going on, guys? Sumi here with ThoughtCast, and today I want to answer a question that I get a lot. The question is, why won't a guy date me if I've hooked up with someone that he knows? Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's his boss. Maybe it's someone in his past or went to this high school. Why won't he date me? Why would he hook up with me and do everything else but actually date me? This is a question I get a lot of. And for everybody out there that's listening to me right now, there's a lot of explanations out there on the internet, and a lot of them are degrading towards women. They're not necessarily the best way to put it. So I'm going to give you this from me, and I'm going to explain it the way that I explain it, with a lot of background information, with actual data sets and research, because I want you to have a concrete answer as to why this happens. So first and foremost, there are definitely guys out there that will date you if you hooked up with their best friend or someone that they know. There's guys out there like that. But a lot of men are reluctant to do this. And it goes back to primitive biological wiring. So think of the hunter-gatherer species that existed 2,000, 3,000 years ago when human beings were very primitive. We didn't have technology. We didn't have anything. If I took one of their babies and put them in society today, they would be the same person that we are. They would have an Instagram. They would have a cell phone. They would play video games. They would watch TV. They would go out and travel the world and get on first-class flights, so on and so forth. They do everything that we could do. And the reason for this is evolution takes millions of years to actually happen. The human beings that we know from the hunter-gatherer times are the exact same species that we are today. We are the exact same. So our biological wiring is the exact same. And you got to understand that biology doesn't evolve for millions and millions of years, but technology in itself has evolved so much. We have so many things today that people don't even know about. Technology is amazing. So let's look at this biologically. Human beings now have 42 methods of contraception. You know, if you want to include pulling out and if you want to include abortion, that makes it like 44. Listen, contraception is such an important concept in human beings. It's crazy. Think about this for a moment. Like, stop and think about this for real. The pill. What does that mean? It means contraception. There are so many medications out there in the world, literally Tylenol, Advil, ibuprofen. There's a million medications out there, right? But when I say the pill, everybody knows it's referring to contraception. That's it. That's how important contraception is for human beings. But biologically, we don't understand contraception. We think that if we have sex with someone, we're going to have an offspring with them. Human beings do this in both genders. Women do this and they secrete oxytocin during sex because they think that, oh my God, this guy just had sex with me. I'm going to be pregnant for 9 months. Let me naturally fall in love with them. That's why when women engage with a man sexually, they naturally secrete oxytocin, which causes them to develop some kind of attachment to this man. So there's a lot of research out there that talks about when women engage with men in a sexual manner, they develop feelings and emotion. That's the first reason. Men are reluctant to engage with a woman that's been around with a lot of men because there's a lot of data and there's a lot of research that shows that women that have had an XYZ amount of partners, the number is actually like typically over 6 in the studies, they have been damaged in their ability to form long-lasting relationships. Now, this is a very, very primitive study. There's not a lot of data science on it. And I'm just telling you this from the early case studies that have been analyzed. And I don't want you to take this and run with it and say, oh, 6 is the number. It's not like that, guys. It's not like that, women. But you have to understand there's some reluctance there. Also, it's the ability to verify if this offspring is theirs. We are programmed to reproduce because naturally, biologically, we are incentivized to reproduce the genomic code. Nowadays, we can have sex just because we want to have sex and we want to feel good. But back in the day, it's done for reproduction. So men are naturally wary to reproduce with women that are promiscuous or that are engaging with multiple partners because they can't verify if the offspring is going to be theirs or not. Because when a man has a child, they're going to have to commit some kind of energy, effort, time, resources, so on and so forth to protect this offspring. If they see that a woman is with multiple men, it causes a red flag in the system and causes them to step away because they don't know when the kid comes out if it's going to be theirs or not. You must understand this in primitive hunter-gatherer sense that men are reluctant about dating women that are very promiscuous. If a man knows that you have a very colorful past and you've dated a lot of guys and you've been with a lot of guys and he can literally name them and they have proximity to both of you, then he's going to be more so reluctant because of a biological mechanism. Another reason why is because if he ever sees this man and he's sitting down in a conversation with him, women, I'm sure you can understand this, he's going to imagine all the things that you did with this man. A man having sex with a woman means that this man is, qualified. He's able to take her out. He's able to court her. Men still chase today in society. And for all the women out there saying, oh, no, they don't. Listen, let's put it down very simply. It's your decision whether you want to have sex with a man. A lot of girls can go to a bar and find a guy to come home with them, but it's not always a guarantee for a guy. Things have to line up. They have to go out and put a little effort in, and they're going to find a woman that may or may not come home with them. It's much harder for a guy to find sex on the first night and for the first occasion than a woman to decide to do that, because women control the flow of sex. Women are the ones that decide to come home with you, open their legs up, so on and so forth. I don't want to get vulgar in my description, but realistically, women are the ones that control sex. So if a guy is having sex with multiple women, that means that that man is qualified to some degree and he has some kind of pull. It's threatening for a guy to date a woman that is engaged with someone that he knows, because he knows that door has been opened, that conversation has been explored, and that man is really in proximity to both of you. That's what scares him. And also at the end of the day, that man having physical access to you, opening you up, taking you home, it makes a man think about all the intimacy that you have with him, and it devalues the intimacy that he's going to have with you. Men think about this stuff. Ladies, I know a lot of you might consider yourselves overthinkers, but men also think about this to a degree that you may not even understand. Men want a woman on their arms that no one has touched, because that is the biggest flex. Guys can go buy a car. Guys can go buy a watch. Guys can go buy jewelry. But guys can't go buy the exact same woman that you are today. They can't get another one of you. You are unique. And that's why a man wants to have you and you alone and wants to have no one that can touch you. The biggest flex for a guy is having a beautiful woman by his side that doesn't give attention to any man. That is a huge flex. Also for women as well. I'm not saying that that doesn't go both ways. A big flex for a woman is having a man that doesn't express any attention towards other women except for you. You're the queen in his life and he's the king in yours. But when a man knows that another man has engaged with you, it devalues that whole concept. And I'll tell you a personal story. I've seen a guy argue with another guy that has slept with his girlfriend. And all that guy has to say is, yeah, enjoy my sloppy seconds. And that man is crushed. That man is destroyed. Because a lot of the male ego is in the ability to acquire and retain women for sexual access, for physical access. So if a man has access to a woman that he has, that destroys the ego. It's a massive shot at it. And I know this might sound stupid, and I know this might sound childish, but this is really how a lot of men think. This is how we are. Women, you are different from men. Men are different from you. So I'm just explaining this in a biological sense so that you can understand and you can really empathize with the way that men think about the situation. You don't necessarily have to agree, but it's important for you to understand this constructively. So my biggest piece of advice for a lot of women out there, you can be sexual. We're in a society today that is very normalizing towards having sex before marriage and having multiple partners, so on and so forth. But you must understand that that has consequences. Actions have consequences. If you're going around sleeping with a lot of men and you find a guy that you like and you slept with one of his friends, he's going to be reluctant, because every single time he brings you around his friend, all he's going to imagine is you being with that guy. All he's going to imagine is that that guy was able to get you, and it makes him feel not special in your life. It devalues the relationship that you have and the intimacy that you guys share together. Guys care about sex and they're very sexually motivated. So it's a huge thing for them. There's biological factors that manage this. There's social factors that manage this with pride and ego. And there's also relationship-based factors that factor into this, because studies have shown with positive correlation that the more partners a woman has, the more likely she is to walk away from the relationship and to engage in divorce. 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women. And a lot of these women have had multiple sexual partners in case studies. So you have to understand that the more sexual partners a woman has, the more she realizes she can just go out there in the world and find someone that will intimately engage with her. And that causes doubt and vulnerability in a man, because why would he want to be with someone that's going to leave very easily? He'd rather have a woman that's going to stay and fight for the relationship and put him in a position of control, rather than a woman that's willing to walk away and put him in a position of distress and really weakness. I hope this makes sense to you guys. There's a lot I could talk about on this topic, but I just wanted to give you some kind of superficial answer to what you guys are talking about, because a lot of women are perplexed by the idea of why a man won't date them if they've hooked up with a friend in the past, no matter how many years ago. It could be 10 years, it could be 15 years ago. It still matters to that guy, and it's because of all these reasons. So that being said, until next time, Sue me out.